With Dennis Allen on board as the Chicago Bears defensive coordinator, we're going to take a look at 5 defensive free agent targets that he has connections to, plus a couple of honorable mentions as well. So that is our show today. My name is Harrison Graham. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. Help us out as we are trying to get to 116,000 subscribers here on the channel. If you love the Bears, if you want free and daily content, I promise we're the channel for you. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We are almost already to our next milestone of 116,000. Okay, I know you guys are going to like this one. Khalil Mack. What is his connection to Dennis Allen, you might say? Well, Dennis Allen, people forget this, was the head coach of the Oakland Raiders from 2012 to 2014. They drafted Khalil Mack in 2014. So his rookie year, he overlapped with Dennis Allen, and here 11 years later, Mack is still playing, and Dennis Allen is the defensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears. Obviously, the Bears traded Mack to the Chargers 3 years ago, and he still put 3 good seasons together, especially in 2023 when he was absolutely dominant, played at an all-pro level. Still good this year as well. I wouldn't say he's elite-level status anymore. He is going to turn 34 next month, so he's year-to-year at this point. I mean, at the end of the season, he was pondering retirement, but a couple weeks ago, it was reported that he is going to play for another year. Look, I'd love to have Khalil Mack back on a 1 to 2 year deal. You could argue he'd instantly be your best pass rusher. Now, Montez Sweat ideally is a better overall player at this point in his career, but put Mack on one side, just focus on being the pass rusher, Mack, and then on the other side, Sweat is the complete stop the run first, but also be a secondary edge rusher. I think that would be a pretty good pairing there. Khalil Mack still got it. He's still very good, and obviously he had a great run here in Chicago, and he's got familiarity with Dennis Allen. Okay, Chase Young. The Chase Young rumors will never die here on Chicago Bears Now. He played for Dennis Allen this past year and has a couple of connections to the Bears. One being Dennis Allen, but also playing with Montez Sweat in Washington. Remember at the trade deadline last year, it was Chase Young, Chase Young, Chase Young. Then they traded for Montez Sweat instead, which actually worked out very well last year. More up and down this year, was playing through injury. I expect Sweat to bounce back next year. With Dennis Allen this year, he played pretty well. He played in all 17 games, 7th in the NFL in pressures with 66, had 5.5 sacks. Is Chase Young ever going to live up to that number 1 or number 2 pick status? Probably not. But can he be a starting edge rusher on a good defense? I think that's still in him. We saw him play well this year under Allen, so there'd be no learning curve. You plug him in opposite of Sweat. DeMarcus Walker becomes more of a do-it-all backup, both at edge and at defensive tackle. Austin Booker, hopefully you get more out of him. And I don't think Chase Young's going to cost crazy amount. I think he made $12, $13 million last year. Maybe you get him on like a 2 for $25 type of deal, $12.5 million per, something like that. I think you can get him at a reasonable price tag. And if he stays healthy, even though he's had a reputation at times for taking plays off, you get him in here with Dennis Allen, a coach he played under last year. I think it could work. So definitely intrigued. If you had to pick one guy here, who would you rather have? The veteran, the older player in Khalil Mack, type KM, or Chase Young, who's been around for a bit now but is still pretty young, type CY? I think I can trust Khalil Mack more, but Chase Young could potentially be here for multiple years. So it's really just pick your flavor, KM for Mack or CY for Young. Here's an interesting one. Tyrann Mathieu, veteran safety, 32 years old, still a good player. Didn't have his best year this year, but last year he was fantastic for the Saints. Let's face it, we have no idea what Jaquan Brisker's situation is. I expect Kevin Byard to be back and start. I think they hope Brisker plays next year. I think they want him to be the starter on this team. He's a leader. He's a good player when he plays. But I don't think you can bank on him, right? Like, can you bank on Jaquan Brisker being healthy and being a big-time player for you? Guys, he missed the final 12 games of the season last year. That is unheard of for a concussion. It kind of feels like he's one concussion away from maybe he has to call it quits. And, you know, as harsh as it sounds, regardless of if he'd have to retire or not, you got to have contingency plans there. I hope Brisker's healthy. I hope he plays. I hope he's an all-pro. I think he's got that potential. But the reality is he has 3 concussions in the NFL. Tyrann Mathieu is a vet. At worst, he could provide excellent insurance. He can give you snaps at nickel as well. You could move him around. So I'm interested now with Tyron Matthews sign up for a role that's like a, hey, you're more of our third safety in case something happens to Brisker, or is he like, nah, I need to have a guaranteed starting role? I don't know. At this stage in his career, that's a fair question to ask, but knows the scheme, leader, has won a Super Bowl, all that stuff. Definitely interested in the Honey Badger. Check out our friends Game Time, the best ticketing app to get your tickets for sporting events, concerts, and comedy shows, and much more is Game Time. And the big game's just around the corner, but you got events every night. You got the Bulls, the Blackhawks, Cubs, and White Sox just around the corner. If you want to go to different type of events, how about Disney on Ice coming to the United Center here very soon on the 30th. You can get into the building for about $50. That's all-in pricing, by the way, lower bowl. So if you got some kids, want to get out of the house, have a good time, go check out Disney on Ice. But plenty of other events regardless of where you live. Concerts, comedy shows, sports, big level events, small level events. They're going to show you views from the seats regardless of the size of the venue. If you're going to a Northwestern basketball game or a Chicago Bulls basketball game, they're going to have you covered. You can get those tickets last minute, literally hours, even minutes before the event starts. A lot of time the prices go down. As you get closer, last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. That is a motto of Game Time. So what are you waiting for? Download the Game Time app today. Use promo code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase only. Terms apply. That's code CHATSPORTS with Game Time. Download the app today. Get started, create that account, and use promo code CHATSPORTS. All right, a couple more here. Marcus Davenport, who's bounced around the last few years, was a Saints and Dennis Allen draft pick several years ago in 2018 when Sean Payton, excuse me, losing my voice a little bit here, was still the head coach in New Orleans. And he's kind of the prototype of what Allen likes in his edge rushers, big, long, physical players. And for whatever reason, we've just never really seen him put it all together. He had the 9-sack season in 2021, but what's a common theme you see with this? A lot of missed games. Like, first 2 years, missed 3 games. 2020, missed 6 games. 2021, missed 8 games. 2022, missed a couple games. 23, only played 4 games. This year, 2 games with the Lions. Like, the injuries are a real concern, so I'll be honest, I'd only be interested on a super cheap deal. This would have to be like a vet minimum, maybe slightly more. You're going to have to earn a roster spot. But he is talented. He is capable. He does know the system. I just think that compared to some of these other guys, I wouldn't be as interested. Here's a wild card. How about Cam Jordan? Savvy veteran for the Saints. Now, I do want to make note, he is not currently a free agent, at least not yet. Now, there is a lot of buzz. What's New Orleans doing? As we're filming this show, obviously on Monday, they haven't hired a head coach based on, depending on when you're watching, maybe they have. But they're in a cap disaster. They have got to figure out what they're doing with Derek Carr and Cam Jordan. And if they designate him as a post-June 1 cut, every team can do it with 2 players at the start of free agency or before free agency. That would save them $11 million. And that helps their cap situation out. And then he can sign with the team immediately. 36 years old next season, certainly older, not what he once was, but this guy's experience, he still can give you production. I kind of think of him as like he could be like a 3-tech defensive end hybrid for this defense. And more than that, I just think he could bring leadership and experience to this locker room, positional versatility. He could be kind of a mouthpiece for Dennis Allen, set the standard in that room on that defensive front, which could certainly use that. Who's the leader in that room? Montez Sweat's a good player. He's not really a rah-rah guy to me. DeMarcus Walker's kind of been that. He doesn't have the skins on the wall of a Cam Jordan. Like, you get Cam Jordan in here on a cheap 1-year deal, maybe like $5 million. I think the wealth of experience in winning, in leadership that guy could bring is priceless. I really do. So keep an eye on that. We'll see, A, if he gets cut, B, if he decides not to retire, and C, if he's willing to play for another team at this point in his career. But he's a rock-solid just individual and stud that would enter that locker room. Okay, name a defensive free agent that Chicago should sign. Obviously, those are just guys with Dennis Allen ties and connections. We'll certainly be examining plenty more. I put out a full free agent targets video with other defensive free agents, so go check that out as well. Get a name in there in the comment section. Also, just 3 other names to mention here. A couple of defensive ends, Peyton Turner, Tano Passanio. Turner hasn't done much, but he's a free agent. Passanio's 30. He's a vet. He also has Ryan Poles ties. He was a Chiefs draft pick several years ago, and he's kind of been hit and miss year to year. Some years he's been a good rotation player. This past year he was terrible, so I'm not sure there's much left in the tank there. Paulson Adebo is pretty interesting. If you want to kind of just throw some competition at Tyreek Stevenson, he could be a name. I kind of think that competition's already in-house with Terrell Smith, but he was starting off this year excellent. Then he had an injury, so I do wonder what that price tag looks like. But if you want to bring in a DB who has some experience with Dennis Allen, Adebo could be just that. Okay, appreciate everybody for tuning in to Chicago Bears Now. Some defensive free agent targets to examine for the Bears and Dennis Allen. My name is Harrison Graham. Don't forget to subscribe on the way out.